What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Bull Season 2, Episode 20, Justified. So, I've said this before, and still very much true. Bull is a show that I know personally is not for everyone, but I really like it. It's just a lot of fun. The psychoanalysis involved with trial science and all that. It's a lot of fun. And on top of that, the characters are pretty enjoyable too. Like for the most part, they do have their issues. They do have some storylines that I just can't grasp onto, but this one was good. It's all about the girl who's being abused by her boyfriend, and ultimately decides to kill him, and so it's about getting her off because you kind of understand why. Now, there is that moral ground that you two have to consider where it's like she did still murder him though, and it's not like she just killed him out of like she obviously killed him because she was trying to protect herself, but she did it in a way that kind of made made it almost difficult to feel good about it. Like just shooting the guy in the back while he's sleeping and then continue to sleep after that. It seems a little too murderous in my opinion. So that's the only issue I really have with this episode. Is just I feel like if they were to do it, it would have been better if she had done it when he came into the room and saw that she was packing and was about to start like beating her and stuff, and then she shot him. Then I feel like it would have made it easier to root for her. Whereas the fact that she did it kind of in the back, I mean, that just I understand. I still get the premise, but it's still just kind of like it seems a little too much for me. I will say, very. It was almost kind of funny how it all started, because like first scene you just see woman showering. It's like, oh yeah, and then it shows her bruised knee. I'm like, oh no. And then it shows her like slit back. I'm like, oh god. It was just like it went from just weird, or not weird, but it went from like oh yeah, woman showering, and just took a turn. And just kept going downhill from there. But we do get to see a bit more about Bull. Find out about his sister. Apparently had to deal with an abusive. I can't remember if it was husband or boyfriend now. But having to deal with that and everything that happened, you understand why Bull is so gung ho on defending this girl, because he's seen it before and he, more than anybody, understands what she's feeling, and really wants to fight to protect her, even though what she did is wrong. So, but yeah, it was just overall a very good episode. A lot of good moments. A lot of just I like getting to see Bull be a little bit more invested than usual, because most of the time it's just a job for him. But there are certain cases that he does get more invested in because he has a personal connection somehow. And those cases are the ones I feel like those are the best episodes, because you get to see Bull fighting hard for it and not just being like, all right guys, come on, let's figure this out. Like you really see him be vulnerable. So yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. I will say I went back and watched some of my reviews for this show because I have no idea what was going on this season. And I did remember there's the thing with Cable where she kind of broke the rules, got herself arrested for it, and then was kicked off the team for a little bit, and now she's back. Still nothing there. Still just a story that happened. And then there was the stuff with Chunk and his daughter who didn't know she was his daughter. I don't remember everything going on with Danny right now. Yeah, there's a lot of like little side stories that have been happening during this season, and I remember a few of them, but I definitely do not remember all of them. So if any of them pop up in these next few episodes, I guess we'll figure out if I remembered anything about it. Hopefully they'll do a previously on Bull to remind me of it, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, with that being said, that's all for this episode. So now on to the next one. See you there. Now, episode 21, Reckless. I will say one thing. I really wish certain descriptions of shows were not more spoilery, because as I look over at CBS All Access, waiting to hit the play button on episode 22, it says Bull's team is rocked when their client, Elliot Miles, is found guilty of murder. You just... That, what? Why you gotta spoil that for me? Anyways, but as far as this episode is concerned, I mean, very very well done, and I'm excited to see. Even though they did just spoil that for me, I'm still excited to see where it goes from here because it really does feel like this is really coming to a head. That final scene where Benny goes all out on the girlfriend and the AUSA, I mean, just really the tension was perfect. And I really love a lot of the little things that they're doing too, because we have seen Bull, especially this season. It feels like he has sort of just been doing a lot of things on his own, and it all sort of mounts and mounts and mounts until we get to this moment where he does end up. I did like the cut because we see Benny telling him at the bar, and the next thing you know, he's in jail with Elliot. I like that little that little cut. Just no other explanation. I think we did see. Is it Marissa? I think it's Marissa. I the names of some of these people are escaping me right now because it's been so long since I've seen the show. But Marissa getting a call and she's just like, "What?" And then we see him in jail. I'm like, okay, I'm making the connection here. Good job. But yeah, I mean, he's been very much doing things what he wants to do. Everything that happened with Cable, it was all his decision. So I really like the fact that we have seen a lot of this season. It's been what he wants to do, and while the team doesn't disagree with him, most of the time he does do the right thing. But this is a case where he can't just do his own thing and hope for the best. This is a very serious case. It's death penalty case. I'm surprised because I feel like we've dealt with it before, but I guess not. I guess this is the first time we're actually dealing with a death penalty case, and they talk about all the different things involved in it, and it's a different. I mean, it's a different thing. It's a different beast to tackle. The first trial is all about proving him innocent or guilty, and then the next trial is all about getting him off the hook of the death penalty and trying to get life in prison. And ultimately, Bull goes with his gut and says, we're going to try to get him declared innocent, and strikes one juror, where the rest of the team is like, yeah, but she would be good because she wouldn't convict him of the death penalty. So it's very much, you can see the team butting heads with Bull, and I just like how they handled it. It was a nice slow progression until he finally goes and sees Benny's sister. I think her name's Izzy. And they just it's just a really nice moment between the two of them. Like, you really do feel the emotion there. You feel like both of them regret what could have been, but they both know that it can't be that way anymore. So I really like how they handled this episode. And like I said, everything to do with the case itself is very intriguing. Of course, now we see a lot of what they did in this episode is for naught because he's going to get declared guilty anyway, but I assume there's probably going to be a way because, it really doesn't seem like this guy's a killer or a rapist or an arsonist. And it doesn't, it really doesn't make sense for him to steal the car and then keep using it. Like, that's the one thing that nobody talked about that I really feel like should have been brought up. How dumb is he to steal their car and keep using it? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, no killer in the right mind. And he's clearly, I mean, they could argue, oh, well, he's just crazy, so maybe he thought he wouldn't get caught. I guess, but he doesn't seem like it. He seems like he's intelligent enough to think rationally through things, and this is not a rational decision to keep the car. The better thing to do would be to sell it to somebody, like the murderer probably did to Elliot. So, but yeah, overall, though, it's still a good episode. I don't know what to expect. I'm a little disappointed again to get spoiled, but I'm excited to see how this season's going to end and how this story is going to end. But anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to go on, watch that one, and I'll be back and write in just a second. And now episode 22, the season finale, Death Sentence, and it was a very good wrap-up. I'm happy with how they handled it. Just everything that they did, the moving pieces involved in finding who did it, and then also trying to work with the client. We also got to see Palmer work with that one professor. That was a little tacked on, in my opinion. They had that moment earlier in the season where we see Palmer getting reprimanded by this guy, and he's failing in his class, and it's because this guy clearly doesn't believe in trial science. It's ridiculous stuff. So you can see he has a bias against him. So they get a chance to reconcile because he has him step up there and he has him go through all the trial science motions. And even though he tries his own way, you can clearly see it's not working. So then he does it Palmer's way, and then it works. So it was a nice moment, even if it was a little like cheesy and tacked on, but it was still a good moment for them. But yeah, I mean, it was just good to see the team all working together. The one moment where Bull was describing the psychopath or sociopath, I can't remember which one it was, but it was pretty funny, to see the entire team watching him describe this guy, and then all just like giving each other glances, like the irony, right? Like you see this too. So, but I really liked just pretty much everything about this episode, and a little bit of a weird way to end it with Bull having a heart attack. I don't know where this is going. It just kind of pops up out of nowhere. Um, I, I'll be curious to see what this means going forward. We do see Marissa also. Been in therapy. That's something I didn't really talk about because it was just kind of a few scenes here and there. But then we see there's a moment where she decides she wants to resign, and I don't really know what to expect for that. I don't know where that story is going. It appears that she really cares for Bull, possibly more than just for a friend. Maybe, it's hard to really tell sometimes the way she talks about him. But she feels like it's difficult to sort of balance that, working for him, but also feeling this way about him and seeing what he does to himself. So yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand how she feels, but then she realizes that he still needs her there. The team needs her there too to kind of keep him roped in. Uh, and I think there was also I think she had a moment too because he asked her, what's that smile on your face for? And she's like, oh, just a nostalgic feeling or something like that. And so that's when she decides to rip up the resignation. But yeah, I mean, everything involved with the case itself, we all pretty much figured more than likely this guy wasn't guilty. So it was going to be a matter, once they found him guilty, of finding the guy who actually did it. And I knew that was going to be the only way to kind of get out of this whole situation. So it was just a matter of trying to find the guy while still dragging on the case. Because even Bull said it at one point, the reason that this case still did matter, even if they were looking for the real killer, is because it's much easier to look for the real killer without, the timeline of a death penalty hanging over your head. If he has life in prison, then they have plenty of time to look for it. Obviously, you don't want to keep him in prison too long, but at least he's not going to die before you get a chance to look into the case and find the true killer. But ultimately, of course, that doesn't matter because they find it before the end of the trial anyway. But I don't know, I would have liked to see it where this maybe was more of a recurring storyline, where the goal of this case was to get him life in prison. While they are still looking into it, they couldn't find any sort of clues or evidence to find the guy. But this is something that we do come back to later. We do end up finding little clues throughout like the next season or something. I don't know. I don't know how they could have worked it because honestly, that's not what the show is about. It's not about solving mysteries and figuring out who the bad guy is. It's more about the trial itself. But that's also kind of why I feel like it would have worked for them to work the trial to where they can get him a life sentence instead of a death penalty, which gives them time to look into, who actually did kill this guy. So it's a little thing I hoped for because then at the end of it, technically they didn't win either case. Like first they lost the first case and then we got the guilty verdict, and then it looked like they were pretty close to losing this case. Getting him the death penalty. But then last minute they managed to find the guy who actually did it, and that's what gets the guy off the hook. So I don't know. It's a personal thing. I think that I feel this way, that I wish they would have ended it differently, but it is something that I do feel like would have fit the show. So that's just my own personal opinion, though. As far as the season as a whole, obviously I don't remember much of this season. Bull is definitely not a show that has like a running storyline where you could say like, all right, so this was the story of this season, and man, it was great. It's a show that I enjoy because I like what they're talking about. I like the ideas and the trial science and the psychology of it, and so that's why I enjoy watching it. As far as a critical standpoint, it's not always great. Some stories don't land very well. Some of the character decisions don't always land, but I still do enjoy the characters for the most part. The only one that I think I'm not quite there with yet is probably Danny, and that's just because there's still some more about her that I want to know. I want to get to know her character more because right now I feel like there's still some stuff we don't know about her, um, and I also feel like the whole storyline with Cable. I don't know. I feel like that resolved itself too easily. I would have liked to see more of that and more of trying to reconcile rather than just, oh, you helped us once, welcome back. Um, but again, that's just my own opinion. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this 3 episodes and the season as a whole? Let me know. We can talk about it and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Bull reviews, and I'll see you guys at the next season. Peace out.